All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot testing. And today we've got a really interesting combination that I've been really excited to try and see what it does. I think there's a real possibility of us getting some very impressive buckshot patterns today, or it could kind of go the other way as well and be a little disappointing. I think that is less likely, but you never really know until you test something because sometimes different combos will surprise you. But I have a sneaky suspicion that at least one of our shots today is going to look pretty nice. But first, we'll take a look at the shotgun we're running today, that being my old Stevens 311. This one dates to about 1974. It's a 12 gauge double barrel with 28-inch barrels and a mod full choke configuration. The right barrel is our modified choke, sitting at 704, and the left barrel is the full choke at 697. So not overly tight or overly far apart from each other, but they've both shown us some nice patterns with other buckshot loads before, and these 311s are kind of the farmhouse workhorse type of gun, really. A lot of people use them for bird hunting. Some people use them for trap and skeet stuff. Other people carry them up with buckshot and stuff up in the woods, going after whatever deer you can think of. These things were not overly fancy. They were just kind of the affordable, reliable workhorse gun, and that's kind of what we've seen so far. It definitely has given us some nice patterns for sure, but today's shells we're running might just be exactly what this gun really wants, so we'll see how it does. But as for the shells I've got today, I brought out some of the Federal Flite Control buckshot loads. These being the 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch 9 pellet load of double aught at about 1325. Pretty standard flight control stuff here as far as the hunting oriented world goes. They do have these in defensive and lower recoil loads as well, but these are the hunting oriented shell. Now I can already see it coming right now, so for those of you that are actually going to pay attention to what I'm going to say here, let's peek our way down into the comments and see how many people didn't listen to what I'm about to say and are going to comment on it already. Most people are under the impression that these shells are designed to perform only through cylinder and improved cylinder chokes. So you can't overconstrict them or it's going to ruin your pattern. We have proven that wrong multiple occasions on the channel so far. That is not the case. What Federal is intending with the flight control wad is to help improve pattern performance through cylinder and improved cylinder chokes in comparison to what other shells are available on the market. There is a difference there in the distinction. That does not mean they were designed to only perform through no choke or little choke at all. That means they were designed to perform better than other shells when you run them through those much more open chokes. That's what a lot of people don't understand and what a lot of people get wrong about flight control in general. You can absolutely run them through tighter chokes and a lot of times get tighter patterns than a cylinder or improved cylinder. So with us having a modified and full choke configuration, we'll see how these perform. We've seen great performances from these with other full choke barrels and other full chokes in general, so we'll see how they do through a double barrel since we've never tested that with the flight control loads. But for our test today, we're going to run everything the same as usual. We have a double barrel, so I think it would be wise of us to take a shot through each barrel since we have two different choke constrictions. But both of our shots are still going to be at 40 yards, and I've got the templates and the chrono to get our velocity as well. So we'll start by taking a shot through the modified choke barrel. Then we'll move over and take a shot through the full choke barrel, and we'll see what the difference is and how each one performs. I think we're in for some surprisingly nice results today, but we don't know until we try it. So let's take some shots and see what we actually get from these Federal Flight Control double aught loads through a 50-year-old double barrel. Is it going to work or not? I don't know. Let's see what happens. All right, so we'll have a quick look at our chrono numbers before we go look at our targets. We have a boss claim of 1325 from those shells. However, both of our shots were a little bit over it. Not uncommon for the Federal copper plated and flight control lineup to be a little higher than boss claim, especially from our 28-inch barrel length. Our first shot through the modified barrel gave us 1339, and the second shot through the full choke gave us 1361. So plenty enough velocity for a double aught to 40 yards for sure. But what kind of patterns did we get? Let's go check it out and see. All right, so here we are down at our two 40-yard targets side by side. I apologize for the little bit of sun glare on the right target. we're getting to that point in the afternoon where not much I can really do about it. But on the left target, we have our modified 704 constriction barrel. On the right target, we have our full choke 697 constriction barrel. We see two nice patterns, but there is an obvious winner for sure over there on the left with that modified choke barrel. Being how close these two constrictions are between these barrels, I didn't expect there to be quite as much of a difference, honestly. But that modified barrel over there on the left absolutely won it out for sure, no question about it. So very interesting to see the difference here between just that little bit of choke constriction difference. That's why flight control, you got to test with a few different options to see what it really likes from your gun. Because obviously, like I mentioned earlier, if anybody actually paid attention to what I was talking about with these shells, yes, they do indeed perform better than the competition or other buckshot loads on the shelf when you put them through those much more open cylinder and improved cylinder chokes. They will outshoot other buckshot loads through those combos. But you can most certainly tighten them down a little in the choke constriction and get nice looking results. That mod choke over there on the left, you're not getting that from a cylinder or improved cylinder out here at 40 yards. I can tell you that just from our previous testing a bunch of times with it. And you're still probably not going to even get as good as what the full choke gave us through those more open chokes. So that modified was just the perfect constriction combination to work out exactly how we wanted to see for us today. But first, we will start over here on the left with our modified choke barrel. Everything is condensed right where we want it to be. Nice area of shot there right around our white dot. That's a nasty looking little pattern. That's all 9 pellets within a 12.5-inch tall by 8-inch wide spread. I usually say anything sub 20 inches at 40 is a good buckshot pattern. And anything we can get that's under 15 inches, that's when we're really looking pretty impressive. And we're there. That's 12.5 by 8. That's a nasty little clump of shot downrange with a modified choke at 40 yards. There's not a whole lot that's going to make it through that, that's for sure. So very impressive there. But now moving over to our full choke barrel, this is a 697 constriction. A little bit low on that shot, but no big deal. We still got all 9 pellets on the target. And although this clump of 8 of them down here is a decent performing buckshot spread, it's nowhere near as good as what we got with the modified barrel. And we have one definite 9th pellet flyer up here at the very top as well that's not with the rest of the group. I did measure of our main 8 pellets, we had 10 inches tall by 19 inches wide. However, if we include the flyer that's way up in the top, it's 23.5 inches tall. But for the main 8 pellets that are not flyers down here, 10 by 19, we're below that 20-inch mark for sure. So solid performing buckshot pattern. It's gonna certainly be capable of doing the job for whatever you'd want to use it for, but we're starting to go the other way and open the pattern up just a little bit. So it seems like between 700 and 705 or so might just be kind of the sweet spot constriction for these flight control shells, at least through this setup anyway. So let's throw some templates up and we'll get a little better idea on how it performed out in the field than just these blank sheets of paper. So first up, we have our deer template. Obviously, all 9 pellets right through the vital cavity on a deer. That's not going to be a very nice day for him, that's for sure. I don't think that deer is going very far, if anywhere at all. So with our modified choke pattern, it's certainly 40-yard capable. I mean, you could probably push that to 50 as well if you want to run a double out at that kind of distance. It would seemingly still do the job. And now we have it moved over to our full choke barrel. I obviously favored our template a little low because the templates are not to show our accuracy to how close I was to hitting a white dot, which was just my reference point of aim that I can see easily all the way at 40. We're looking for pattern performance here. If you had a centered up shot, what is the pattern really capable of? That's 8 pellets right through the chest cavity on a deer. Still plenty good enough. And this would make for a decent combination as well. Run the modified choke out at a little farther range. Maybe if the deer is 30 yards and in or so, run the full choke and call it a day. Because it would certainly work either way, but this is the more broad spread of pellets, even though it is the little bit tighter choke. Next up, we have a coyote template. This is pretty close to average life size. With our modified choke pattern, it's going to be a bad day for that coyote as well. Not making it through that. This is probably not everybody's go-to coyote combination, an old double barrel with a flight control double aught shell. But if you were deer hunting with it, or if this was kind of your farmhouse backyard critter gun, would certainly do the job on some coyotes if you had the opportunity to take that shot for sure. And now moving that template over to our full choke barrel. same story, dead coyote, no question about it. And that might even be a little more preferable of a pattern over what the mod choke gave us, since it is a little bit more broad. It may give you a little more breathing room to work with if you've got predators that are kind of up and down over hills or darting through bushes or something like that. That may work out a little bit better for you, give you a little more leeway in your spread. But still, for predators, if you had the opportunity at them, either one of these chokes would be perfectly fine to 40 yards to do the job. And finally, we have our actual torso cut out here. I'm definitely not saying you should or shouldn't take these shots for like home defense scenarios, or that we're even looking for that with this combination today, especially out at 40 yards. But for the people that may not be hunters and may not have a good reference on how big different bodies of animals are, this could give them a little better reference point and get a better idea on how a pattern actually looks. This is a regulation size 18 by 30 inch cutout. Obviously, all 9 of them right through center mass there, even at 40 yards with our modified choke barrel, would certainly do the job on 2-legged creatures as well, if the 1 in a million case were to ever arise where you needed to take a little longer shot. That's the pattern you would have to work with, and I definitely wouldn't want to be the one in front of it for sure. And even moving it all the way over here to 40 yards, it would still do the job. You're going to have a handful of them right through the chest cavity. So still, I wouldn't want to be standing in front of that and test my luck with that combo either. Not going to be a very nice day for 2-legged creatures, but definitely goes to show the modified barrel is the tighter pattern for sure. Although neither one of these are bad performers. It's just going to come down to your scenario and what type of pattern do you need for different scenarios at different ranges. Whether you want the tight spread or do you want a little more even leeway through your pattern. But 2 nice performances overall today. And here are the 2 wads from those shells. You've got your mod choke on the left, your full choke on the right. Both of them look very similar to each other. Nothing out of the normal that I wouldn't expect to see here, but obviously the mod choke did a little bit better. A little more favorable constriction for the flight control wads to really do what they want to do, but still the full choke did just fine as well, although definitely not quite as good overall, or quite as condensed, I should say. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about these 2 performances right here? Definitely pretty interesting results for sure. Now, what is really interesting is we've tried those same flight control shells through multiple other full chokes that are about the same or even a little tighter constriction, and we have seen much, much tighter, nastier patterns than what we got with this full choke over here. So that may come down to constriction, it may come down to different forcing cone shapes, or how long of an area the shot has to actually constrict down through the choke. Maybe shorter chokes or longer chokes do better or worse when it comes to tighter constrictions with flight control wads. Even then, this is not a bad pattern, but we have also seen way, way nastier from these same shells through tighter chokes than what this is. So different guns and different chokes, even if they are the same constriction, will pattern differently from each other. But we can't argue at all with what that modified barrel gave us. Out of that particular 311, that mod barrel is nasty. It's the obvious winner. It's the tightest pattern. Everything is condensed. We don't have any flyers or nothing like that. That is a very impressive 40-yard buckshot pattern. So overall, both patterns are good performers. We're under the 20-inch mark that I like to see on both of them, except for maybe that one little flyer up at the very top of that full choke. But it may just come down to if I'm running this combo, or if you have a 311 and you're running it with flight control buckshot like this, you may prefer the modified barrel for those little longer range shots versus the full choke for the little closer range shots. Or if it's a moving target versus a stationary target. It's going to come down to what situation you're in and what shots you kind of need or have to take. But let me know all your thoughts down below. Is this about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any flight control loads through an old 311? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Are either one of these a combo you would actually take out? Or which barrel would you rather hunt with, that is? Or would you be fine with both and just run them in different scenarios? And maybe what other shells do you want to see us run through that old 311 that you think could be an interesting performer? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, you have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox. You can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it. But I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.